Live from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida will be back in class today for the first time since 17 people were shot and killed there. The new info that investigators are revealing showing that it could have been much worse.
It's an epidemic in San Francisco, but this particular car break-in is getting the attention of the mayor. And this morning, firefighters are fed up.
And if you haven't brought in some of your patio furniture, it's time to do so because we are about to get hit with a very strong storm, and I will track the rain and the strong winds for you coming up.
Smooth sailing across the Benicia Bridge in both directions, but we are tracking delays at another bridge, the Bay Bridge. We'll take a closer look at that coming up.
Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, February 28th. I'm Michelle Griego.
And I'm Ann Makovic. Kenny Choi has the morning off, and it is 5:30. We are on the cusp of another big storm, Netta.
The biggest one we've had so far. So this is the season. So it's going to be really intense. We're talking several inches of rain on the way and several feet of snow for those ski resorts. So let's get right to it. Here's a look right now. Golden Gate Bridge. Yes, we have pretty clear conditions out there. And yes, it's cold as well in many spots because of those clear skies. 31 degrees in Santa Rosa right now. Livermore 32. And where is the storm at this hour? Well, just north of Clear Lake. So it came through Redding, Red Bluff. Very, very light for now, as we can see across Northern California, right near the California-Oregon border. There's some moisture along the coast, but it's picking up a lot of moisture to the north of us, and it's going to be reaching us here by this afternoon. So I want to show you the futurecast so you can time out your day. You'll start to see the cloud coverage by about 10, 11 o'clock this morning through San Francisco, Redwood City. By noon, maybe a few raindrops. Most likely, if it does happen, that'll be across the North Bay. 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, again, very, very light precipitation. And then here's where the storm really starts to pick up. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock tonight through the North Bay, through San Francisco, through the South Bay. It'll start to get intense before midnight. And then from midnight on to noon tomorrow, that's really the bulk of the storm as far as the rainfall goes. We could see an inch of rain in that 12-hour time span through 5 a.m. tomorrow morning at this time. Yes, it will be wet out there. It'll be windy out there as well. So that morning commute tomorrow, we really want to leave earlier because it will be slow going most likely. Showers will turn to downpours overnight, and then we could see 1 to 3 inches of rain in many Bay Area locations, up to 5 inches for the coastal mountains. Places like Santa Cruz, they could see that much rain. And the winds will be very strong tomorrow as well. We've been talking about a wind advisory and Sierra snowfall. Yes, that will impact travel if you're headed that way because we could see up to 7 feet at 9,000 feet and above, even 2 feet as low as the Sierra foothills. Jacqueline.
Wow, all right. That makes me really glad that I just got new tires because the roadways are going to be slick and wet tomorrow. Lots of ponding on the roadways. Please be careful. Right now, we are tracking a pretty easy ride for drivers headed along the East Shore Freeway. This is 80 at McBride, but a little west of here, we are tracking a motorcycle accident. We aren't seeing any backup from that, but we are starting to see speeds reduce just a bit, just below the limit there, 58 miles per hour. Your ride heading towards the maze, this is the 580 approach just past 24. Still looking good, but once you get to the maze, hold on, there's the backup where 580 and 80 join together and make their way on through the toll plaza. So you've got about a 18-minute ride from the maze into San Francisco. Yes, those metering lights are on and traffic is stacking up. Give yourself a few extra minutes. That is Check Your Traffic. Michelle?
Jacqueline, thank you. This morning, students are returning to a class at a Florida high school where a gunman killed 17 people 2 weeks ago. The school day will be shortened, at least for the rest of the week, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High in Parkland. There's a heavy police and media presence as extra security and grief counselors are on campus. Only students, parents, and staff are being allowed through a security area. Carlos Rodriguez was one of the students who had to take cover during the shooting.
It's not going to be the same hallways. It's not going to be the same smiles.
Meanwhile, sources told CBS News the suspected gunman initially planned to shoot from a third-floor stairwell, but his bullets did not shatter the glass there. They also said images of swastikas were found on the ammunition magazines used by the accused shooter. And Dick's Sporting Goods, one of the nation's largest outdoor gear retailers, announced this morning it will end sales of assault-style rifles in its stores. The company posted a message on Twitter which reads in part, "We deeply believe that this country's most precious gift is our children. They are our future. We must keep them safe."
More details are emerging now about a shooting involving San Francisco police officers and a murder suspect.
KPIX 5's Jackie Ward is here now with body cam video from the incident, and it happened earlier this month.
Right. It's actually gotten a lot of conversation going in the Haight-Ashbury neighborhood where it took place. And this morning, we're seeing the moment when police caught up to suspect Joel Armstrong. He was involved in a shooting and carjacking that happened on the Panhandle earlier this month. This is video when police fired into the RV Armstrong was holed up in. Armstrong had carjacked a vehicle on Fell Street after allegedly killing one man and injuring another. SF police tracked him to this RV near Alameda and Dejaro. After repeated orders, Armstrong refused to come out. 3 people and a dog did emerge. Then moments after, police hear 2 shots fired from inside the RV, and they fire back. 2 hours after the standoff started, Armstrong finally left the RV and was immediately arrested. Police say this is the weapon they recovered from the suspect, a 9mm firearm. Armstrong now faces charges of carjacking, murder, and 8 counts of attempted murder. 7 officers fired 65 shots and no one was hurt. All of the video from the shooting has been released to the public. Michelle.
Jackie, thank you. Car break-ins have become so bad in San Francisco that the city's firefighters are now calling on the mayor to do something about the problem. The president of the San Francisco Firefighters Union says a window was busted out of his work car this week. It's the 3rd time this car has been broken into in the city. He was so frustrated that he posted this tweet that reads, "City's fine, no problems here," and tagged acting Mayor Mark Farrell. Last week, the DA held a news conference where he asked the city for $1 million to build up a task force to better understand break-ins. Mayor Farrell said it's a no for him.
We don't need a task force to study the situation where we know what the problem is already.
Mayor Farrell says instead, the DA's office and police need to partner up. The DA's office is hoping the new administration will support their plan after June's special election.
A San Francisco supervisor is demanding answers over non-working fire call boxes. Supervisor Aaron Peskin says out of the 2,000 call boxes in San Francisco, dozens are out of service. Workers have put custom-made bags over some and towels over others so that people know not to use them. The Board of Supervisors expected to discuss the problem later this morning.
Federal immigration officials have released new information on sweeping arrests across Northern California. KPIX 5 Jessica Flores is live in Oakland with why ICE is calling out Oakland's mayor. Jessica?
Hey, good morning, Michelle. The operation is called Operation Keep Safe. Over the last several days, ICE agents have been in Northern California making dozens of arrests, a total of 150 people arrested all the way down from Bakersfield all the way up to the Oregon border. Now, Oakland's Mayor Libby Schaaf has been warning of these raids for a couple of days now. She says she came to the public with this information after she got tipped off from several sources. She said she wanted to warn folks to be prepared in case they were picked up in these raids. Now, ACLU is criticizing the operation, saying agents are aggressively intimidating families in their homes and using racial profiling to detain people in public. The ACLU is telling undocumented immigrants that they have the right to remain silent and to not open the door unless agents have a warrant signed by a judge. Now, ICE says about half of the folks that they arrested have criminal records, including assault and DUI convictions. Agents arrested the other half for immigration violations. In a statement, ICE calls out Mayor Schaaf, saying, quote, "The Oakland mayor's decision to publicize her suspicions about ICE operations further increased that risk for my officers and alerted criminal aliens, making clear that this reckless decision was based on her political agenda with the very federal laws that ICE is sworn to uphold." In her own statement last night, Schaaf fired back and defended her move. The mayor said in a statement, "I do not regret sharing this information. It is Oakland's legal right to be a sanctuary city, and we have not broken any laws. We believe our community is safer when families stay together." Now, San Francisco Mayor Mark Farrell also is defending his city, saying that San Francisco will remain a sanctuary city. And today at noon, protesters will gather outside of the Northern California ICE headquarters and rally against this operation. Reporting live here in Oakland, I'm Jessica Flores, KPIX 5.
Well, detained immigrants can be held in jail indefinitely while awaiting deportation proceedings. The Supreme Court made that decision yesterday, and it could affect the thousands of immigrants now in detention. It reverses a ruling by an appeals court in San Francisco to require bail hearings every 6 months.
A U.S. district judge has sided with President Trump on building a border wall with Mexico, removing what could have been a major obstacle to the president's campaign pledge. The judge is Gonzalo Curiel, the same Indiana-born judge with Mexican heritage whom the president accused of being biased over his handling of fraud allegations against his now-defunct Trump University. Construction of the wall will not begin immediately. Congress first has to authorize and provide funding. State Attorney General Javier Becerra said California would still look at options to stop the wall. He said a medieval wall along the U.S.-Mexico border simply does not belong in the 21st century.
20 minutes before 6 o'clock, and a pizza company and a pro sports league are parting ways. Diane King Hall from CBS Money Watch joining us live now with that story and more from the world of business. Good morning.
Good morning, Ann. Well, Fed Chairman Jerome Powell's upbeat take on the economy triggered fears of faster interest rate hikes. That ripple effect sent stocks lower on Wall Street yesterday. The Dow slumped 299 points. The Nasdaq fell 91. Papa John's and the NFL have ended their sponsorship agreement. Both parties are calling it a mutual decision. The relationship became strained last year when Papa John's founder John Schnatter blamed slowing pizza sales on NFL players kneeling during the national anthem. Meantime, the Sports Business Journal is reporting that Pizza Hut is now the national sponsor. The CEO of SeaWorld is out. Joel Manby is stepping down effective immediately after failing to revive attendance. Manby was hired in 2015 to get the company on track following sharp criticism over its treatment and breeding of killer whales. Indeed.com is out with a ranking of best companies to work for based on employee reviews. Costco tops the list. Retailers known for being ahead of the pack with benefits and compensation. Rounding out the top three were Kaiser Permanente and Verizon. And
all right, speaking of best, now there's a new study out about the best place to live in the country. Tell us about that.
That's right. U.S. News and World Report is out with its ranking of best states. And Iowa, get this, came out on top. Iowa was #1 overall in infrastructure and in the top 10 on healthcare, opportunity, education, and quality of life. California ranked 32nd. Louisiana came in dead last. And
32nd, not so good for California. And I'm guessing
yeah,
that
I was surprised.
The high cost of living has to have a large part in that.
That could explain it. Yep.
That's a bear,
yep.
but it's beautiful, as you know.
Yes.
Diane King Hall of CBSMoneyWatch.com. Come over and visit us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Will do.
Anytime. Coffee's on Ann. 542, reaching goals of sustainability. The details of the climate plan approved by the city of San Jose.
Plus, from the big screen to the Bay Area, how the movie will have a lasting impact in one director's hometown of Oakland.
And taking a live look out at 880 in Oakland. Traffic not moving too badly, at least at this point. Jacqueline's going to be back to let us know about some problems on the roadways.
Live from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
As ice raids continue across Northern California, the agency calls out Oakland's mayor.
Plus, students, parents, and teachers making an emotional return to the Florida high school where 17 people were killed. What we're now learning about the gunman police say was behind the attack.
And why President Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has been stripped of access to top secret intelligence. Good morning. It's Wednesday, February 28th. I'm Michelle Griego.
And I'm Ann Makovic in for Kenny Choi. And we are starting off with traffic and weather. I know Netta has her eye on a big storm on the way. And Jacqueline, you've been tracking our commutes.
Yes, it's kind of the calm before the storm, but the accidents, they're coming in. It's getting busy out there. Everyone is hitting the roadways for their morning commute. Good morning to you. If you are getting ready to head out the door, be careful. Here is a look at the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. The metering lights have been on and for about a half hour, and that backup quickly grew. It's stretching beyond the foot of the maze there. So 17 minutes from the maze into San Francisco. Here's a live look at the MacArthur maze where 580 and Interstate 80 join together and all battle to go towards that toll plaza there. You can see that backup stretches onto Interstate 80 and your 580 approach. So again, give yourself a little extra time. It's very busy out there. Here's 80 at Powell. Folks making their approach towards the Berkeley curve there. Our travel times as far as the East Shore Freeway, those remain in the green, but we're starting to see those delays build about 5 minutes. So it is getting crowded out there. We are in good shape, though, as far as accidents go. 580 checking in problem-free. Interstate 80, we had an earlier one, but that has now cleared. We are seeing that back up just past Highway 24. And our travel times, 580 in the yellow, heading out of Antioch, you're in the yellow, but 101, that's the big delays heading through the South Bay. We'll take a closer look at your ride heading through the South Bay coming up in the next traffic report. Let's check in with Nada now on the forecast.
All right. Well, right now we are seeing a few areas of some very light rain, some snowfall rather, and it's all a sign of what's to come. This is just the very beginnings, though. On high-def Doppler, you can see it's well to the north of us, about 100 miles still away from Santa Rosa, but it is cold in some of these locations, so that rain is turning to snow flurries, and that is very similar to what we will start to see later on. Here's the futurecast. I want to show you when you'll start to see the cloud coverage, 9, 10 o'clock this morning by lunch break. It'll look a little gloomy out there, and a few areas of very scattered light rain. Then by 4 o'clock, a little bit more. And then here we go. 6 o'clock, the North Bay will start to see that stronger downpour. And then overnight tonight, that's when it'll continue to be widespread rainfall through San Francisco, Redwood City. And through midnight, it's really going to start to pick up. Between midnight and noon tomorrow will be the bulk of the rain that will come down. We could get an inch in that time span. So 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, look how much rain will be coming down through the North Bay, through a lot of San Francisco, the South Bay as well. We could see a significant amount, 1 to 3 inches of rainfall expected with this storm, and it could bring us 5 inches for some of the coastal mountain ranges. Also, the winds will really start to pick up after midnight tonight. We'll talk about the wind advisory, the winter storm warning, and all of that coming up in just a bit.
Well, ICE is calling out Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, saying she endangered their officers in a recent immigration sweep.
KPIX 5 Jessica Flores with more on the claims and who was arrested. Jessica?
Michelle, and the operation is called Operation Keep Safe. Over the last several days, ICE agents have been making sweeping arrests, a total of 150 arrests from Bakersfield all the way to the Oregon border. Now, Mayor Libby Schaaf got tipped off. She found out about this beforehand and went to the public, telling folks to be prepared for potential raids. And, of course, ICE didn't like that very much. ICE says it has about 150 arrests, and of half of those have criminal records, including assault and DUI convictions. Agents arrested the other half for immigration violations. ACLU is criticizing the operation, saying agents are aggressively intimidating families in their homes and using racial profiling to detain people in public. Now, immigrant rights activists are telling undocumented immigrants that they have the right to remain silent and not to open doors unless agents have a warrant. ICE Deputy Director Thomas Homan, after these arrests were made public, says his agents are still looking for 800 undocumented immigrants, and he's calling out the mayor, saying in a statement, "I have to believe that some of them were able to elude us thanks to the mayor's irresponsible decision. Unlike the politicians who attempt to undermine ICE's critical mission, our officers will continue to fulfill their sworn duty to protect public safety." Now, in her own statement last night, Schaaf fired back and defended her move. Mayor Libby Schaaf in a statement saying, "I do not regret sharing this information. It is Oakland's legal right to be a sanctuary city, and we have not broken any laws. We believe our community is safer when families stay together." Now, San Francisco's Mayor Mark Farrell is also defending his city status as a sanctuary city, saying that city will remain a sanctuary city. And today there is a rally in front of ICE's Northern California headquarters in San Francisco protesting this operation. Reporting live in Oakland, I'm Jessica Flores, KPIX 5.
President Trump's senior advisor Jared Kushner's access to classified information has been scaled back. The move follows months of delays in completing his background check. Jared Kushner no longer has access to President Trump's daily intelligence brief. The senior advisor to the White House, who is also the president's son-in-law, had his security clearance downgraded late last week.
Mr. President, on Jared's downgraded clearance, sir, any concerns?
Kushner had been granted access to top secret information while the FBI completed his background check. White House Chief of Staff John Kelly has now changed that.
General Kelly respects Jared a lot, and General Kelly will make that call. I won't make that call.
Sources tell CBS News the change in classification affects roughly 36 people. It comes as General Kelly tightens the temporary clearance rules following domestic abuse allegations against former staff secretary Rob Porter. Kushner's FBI background check has been delayed for months after he refiled paperwork 3 times because of undisclosed contacts with foreign nationals. White House officials downplayed the downgrade.
He's a valued member of the team, and he will continue to do the important work that he's been doing since he started in the administration.
Kushner's work focuses on foreign policy items, including peace in the Middle East. White House officials say the change in security clearance can be revisited at any time.
This morning, students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School head back to class 2 weeks after a gunman killed 17 students and school staffers. Extra security and grief counselors are on campus. It was 2 weeks ago that 17-year-old Carlos Rodriguez was one of many students in that school taking cover as shots rang out.
It's not going to be the same hallways. It's not going to be the same smiles.
The freshman building is where the shooting occurred. That will remain closed today. Investigators say the suspected gunman, Nicholas Cruz, had planned on using a third-floor stairwell as a sort of sniper's nest, but his bullets did not shatter the hurricane glass. He had more than 180 rounds left.
The shooting has set off a debate over gun control across the country. California Representative Mike Thompson is trying to get support for a rarely successful procedural move. It would force a vote on a bill to require background checks for all gun purchases. He introduced the bill with Republican Representative Peter King of New York in November. It has been sitting in committee since then. The bill would expand the use of the National Instant Criminal Background Check System for guns that are purchased online and at gun shows.
Two senators are putting together a short-term fix for the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program with 3 years of border security funding under a new proposal. That includes a 3-year extension of DACA while providing nearly $8 million for the Trump administration's border plan. The Senate has rejected 3 immigration proposals already that would have included permanent protections for the nearly 2 million immigrants brought to the country illegally as children. State Senator Kamala Harris wrote about this on Twitter saying, quote, "Let's be honest, this administration doesn't want a solution for dreamers. They want red meat for their base. They want to purge America's history as a nation of immigrants." In just a few hours, California lawmakers will try to raise awareness about an upcoming deadline for dreamers. In order to receive aid from the state, they must apply by Friday.
This afternoon, the family of a man shot and killed by San Francisco police officers will hold a news conference. Luis Gongora Pat was shot and killed in April 2016. Police fired 7 times after they say Gongora Pat launched at them with a 13-inch knife. But the attorney for the victim's family claims eyewitness statements and video evidence show a different build-up to the shooting. Before today's news conference, the family will meet with the city's district attorney to discuss the investigation.
More information is being revealed about an officer-involved shooting and a murder suspect in San Francisco.
Here's Jackie Ward now with newly released video from the incident that took place earlier this month.
Yeah, good morning to you both. We're getting a new look this morning at a police showdown that ended with police opening fire.
We got him. We got him. He's in there. He's in there. He's in there. He's in there.
Police say the man holed up inside the RV is murder suspect Joel Armstrong. He's accused of shooting 2 men on the Panhandle, killing one nearly 2 weeks ago. After the shooting, he carjacked a getaway vehicle, and police were able to track him to Alameda and DeHaro streets. Armstrong refused to come out of the RV. Then police heard 2 shots fired from inside, which caused them to fire back. Police say this is the weapon they recovered from the suspect. It's a 9mm firearm. Armstrong now faces charges of carjacking, murder, and 8 counts of attempted murder. According to police, 7 officers fired 65 shots and no one was hurt.
New details this morning on that massive fire that tore through a metal recycling facility in Richmond last month. Investigators now say the cause may never be known. They've spent weeks interviewing employees at that site and sifting through huge amounts of burned debris. That fire on January 30th sent toxic smoke into the air and prompted a shelter-in-place order. The department now plans to issue an investigative report aimed at preventing another fire at that facility.
Time now is 6:10. The Sierra is seeing fresh snow this week. The problems the winter weather is causing. Next.
Yeah, we're about to get dumped on by a lot of snow across the Sierra. We could even see low elevation snow and a lot of rain and wind. I have your full forecast coming up.
Starting to see a lot of brake lights out there. Your ride headed along 880 heading into Hayward, getting very busy. We'll take a closer look at those travel times coming up.
Plus, in our tech report, a look at where Ford is testing its self-driving cars and a new business model. We'll be right back.